Hi everyone, welcome to Efelti channel. Welcome to our linguistic exploration series. The Austronesian language family is one of the most widespread in the world, covering half the globe, from Easter Island in the eastern Pacific Ocean to Madagascar in the western Indian Ocean. With around 1,200 languages, it is the world's second largest language family. In this video, we'll dive into an intriguing topic in morphosyntax, morphosyntactic alignment, with a special focus in the uniqueness and beauty of Austronesian alignment, also known as the Symmetrical Voice System. This alignment is distinctively found in many Austronesian languages. We'll explore the concept, provide examples, and include visualizations, and we'll also compare it to other commonly known morphosyntactic alignments. Without further ado, let's get started. To understand morphosyntactic alignment, let's start with these English sentences. He came. She jumped. These are sentences with intransitive verbs, meaning the verbs do not take an object. The verbs came and jumped do not require an object, and he and she function as the subject as of each sentence as the single core argument. Now compare these with this sentence. He chased her. This sentence has a transitive verb, chased, which takes an object O. Here, he is the agent subject A, while her is the object O. So a sentence with a transitive verb has two core arguments. In these examples, the subject S in intransitive sentences behaves similarly to the agent A in a transitive sentence. He in he came is in the same form as he in he chased her. However, the object differs in form. The subject she changes to her as the object form. He chased she would be incorrect, indicating that an object O behaves differently than a subject S or an agent A. We can promote the object her to a subject using passive construction. So she was chased. So here her is now promoted to the subject S form, and the verb becomes intransitive, was chased. So he is demoted from its role as the agent, and it's no longer a direct object as a core argument. So she was chased him would be incorrect. However, we can still reference him in an oblique form with the preposition by, becoming she was chased by him. Now he is demoted to an oblique argument or a non-core argument. This type of alignment in English is known as Nominative-Accusative alignment. In this system, subjects S and agents A are referred to as nominative, while objects O are accusative. There is an opposite alignment type called Ergative-Absolutive alignment, where subjects behave like objects, while agents are marked or behave differently. For example, in Dyirbal, for sentences with intransitive verbs, father returned, nguma banaganyo, mother came, yabu baninyo. In a transitive sentence, consider nguma yabunggu boran, meaning mother saw father, or literally, father mothernggu saw. Here father or nguma as the subject S in an intransitive verb sentence behaves like the object O in the transitive verb sentence. However, the agent subject A, mother or yabu, in the transitive verb sentence require a case marker ngu as an agent marker distinguishing the agent A from the subject S and object O. This is the opposite of English, where the object is marked differently. In this Ergative-Absolutive alignment, subjects S and objects O are called absolutive, while agents A are called ergative. Languages with this alignment can often promote the object O to the subject S position, making the transitive verb intransitive. For instance, in Dyirbal, yabu boranganyo, meaning mother saw. Here boranganyo becomes an intransitive verb and does not take an object. However, we can add ngumagu to mean something like to father to this sentence, becoming Yabu pernah ngumagu, which also means mother saw father, but literally mother saw to father. In this case, father become a non-core argument marked by the suffix gu to indicate an oblique or a non-core role. This construction is called an antipassive construction in ergative-absolutive alignment and functions as the opposite of passive construction in nominative-accusative alignment. Remember, both the verbs in passive constructions and those in antipassive constructions are intransitive. Now we have examined both alignments. Both nominative-accusative alignment and ergative-absolutive alignment are asymmetrical. In nominative-accusative alignment, a triangle in the chart is oriented to the left, while in ergative-absolutive alignment, it is oriented in the opposite direction to the right. Austronesian alignment or symmetrical voice is an alignment where both variants of transitive verbs exist and depend on the chosen voice. In the case where voice type A or agent voice is chosen, agent A will behave like subject as the pivot of the sentence. In this situation, object O will behave differently and become accusative. Conversely, when voice type U or undergoer voice is chosen, object O will behave like subject as the pivot, and in this case, agent A will behave differently and become ergative. As you can see, the chart triangle becomes symmetrical. Now let's see in a concrete language. Let's take Tagalog as an example for this simulation. For sentences with intransitive verbs, consider these examples. My cat came. In Tagalog, dumating ang pusa ko. Literally means came ang cat my. My fishes swam. In Tagalog, lumangoy ang mga isda ko. Literally, swam ang fishes my. For a sentence with transitive verbs, let's use my cat ate my fishes. In Tagalog, we will use the verb kain or ate. On the left side, for my cat ate my fishes, we have kumain ang pusa ko ng mga isda ko. Literally, ate ang cat my ng fishes my. Here it behaves like the English or nominative-accusative alignment. Both the subject as and the agent A are marked with ang. The object O is marked differently with nang. The verb is marked with the infix to indicate agent voice or agent focus. On the right side, for the same sentence, my cat ate my fishes, we have kinain ng pusa ko ang mga isda ko. Literally, ate in ng cat my ang fishes my. Here, it behaves like the ergative alignment in Dyirbal. The object is marked the same as the subject with an intransitive verb using ang, while the ergative agent is marked differently with nang. The verb is marked with the infix in to indicate undergoer voice or patient focus. In Tagalog, the left side or agent voice is typically used when the object is more general or indefinite. So if ko or my is removed, it would mean my cat ate fishes in a general sense. On the right side, the undergoer voice is used when referring to a specific or definite object. In this sentence, it refers specifically to my fishes, not just any fishes in general. As on the left side, if ko is removed here, it would mean my cat ate the fishes. Now let's look from Indonesian language, one of the Austronesian languages. Since Indonesian doesn't mark cases on nouns, we'll illustrate this using personal pronouns similar to English, as some Indonesian pronouns still retain their Austronesian case distinctions. We'll start with sentences containing intransitive verbs. I slept, aku tidur. He swam, ia berenang. For sentences with transitive verbs, let's consider this example. I caught him, using the Indonesian word tangkap, which means caught. On the left side, we have the agent voice, aku menangkapnya. Literally, this means I caught him. Here it resembles English structure, where the subject aku is in the first position and the accusative object nya follows the verb. The verb is marked with the prefix meng to indicate agent voice. The enclitic pronoun nya can be used for adjective cases, including the accusative case, but it cannot be used for agent or subject cases. It must also appear directly after the verb. For instance, berenangnya would be incorrect in Indonesian, as it would imply something like swam him. Instead, it would be either ia berenang or berenang ia or berenanglah ia, meaning he swam. Here we see that objects are distinct from subjects, similar to English. On the right side, we have the undergoer voice in the sentence ia kutangkap. Literally translated, this means I caught. In this structure, the object or undergoer behaves like the subject in sentences with intransitive verbs, as the object moves to the first position and uses the pronoun ia in the same way as a subject. The verb remains unmarked here, indicating that it is in the undergoer voice. For the agent in the undergoer voice, the ergative proclitic pronoun ku can appear directly before the verb. In typical usage, ku generally only appears before undergoer verbs and cannot be used for agentive verbs or intransitive verbs. For instance, ku tidur or ku menangkapnya would be considered non-standard or incorrect unless used in poetic or artistic context. In these cases, the subject aku should be used instead, showing that the subject behaves differently from the agent in undergoer voice constructions. In contrast, kutangkap ia is correct, as it also means I caught him, but with a different word order than ia kutangkap. Kutangkap ia or kutangkaplah ia has a structure similar to berenanglah ia or berenang ia or tidurlah ia, where the pivot can be positioned at the end of the sentence instead at the beginning. This flexibility in Indonesian allows both intransitive and transitive pivots to appear after the verb. It's also important to note that in Indonesian, ia functions only as a pivot or ergative, but not as an accusative. This distinction enforces that ia in the example before serves as a pivot, not as an accusative. In both cases, aku menangkapnya and ia kutangkap mean the same in English, I caught him. The difference is only on the left side, the focus is on I as the one who caught him, while on the right side, the focus is on he as the one I caught. On the left side, caught him functions as the predicate, while on the right side, I caught functions as the predicate. Since Indonesian pronoun cases might not be straightforward and are not widely documented, I've provided an overview of them based on my research and analysis as a native speaker. Here's also a comparison overview of the Tagalog one. And here's the English one. Based on the visualization and comparison, we can see that Indonesian aligns well with the definition of Austronesian alignment or symmetrical voice within this framework. However, there are notable differences between the morphosyntactic alignment in Tagalog and other Philippine-type languages compared to Indonesian and other Indonesian-type languages. In Philippine-type languages, there are multiple kinds of undergoer voices for different types of objects or undergoers, such as theme object, benefactive, locative, and others. The chart would look like this. Some linguists only consider Philippine-type alignment as the true Austronesian alignment, or symmetrical voice. Indonesian-type languages also have multiple undergoer voices for various objects and undergoers, theme objects, benefactives, locative, etc. However, each undergoer voice in Indonesian also has a corresponding applicative voice that promotes the undergoer to become the main object. Furthermore, Indonesian-type languages feature an additional passive voice similar to English. specific to each type of object. One notable difference is that the Indonesian passive voice can embed the agent directly as an object-like argument, rather than as an oblique or non-core argument. This makes the morphosyntactic chart look like this. However, if we extend the morphosyntactic comparison to include applicativization, Ergative-Absolutive languages with rich applicativization, such as Dyirbal, which promotes underwords to pivots or absolutives, would also resemble this chart. Similarly, Nominative-Accusative languages with rich applicativization, like Bantu languages, promotes underwords to main objects, creating a similar structure of this chart. The key difference in asymmetrical alignments is that in ergative languages, agents in sentences with transitive verbs never appear in the same case as absolutive or pivot, while in accusative languages, direct objects never share the nominative case or as the pivot in sentences with transitive verbs. This is why some other linguists also consider Indonesian to be a symmetrical language. They view symmetrical voice as a broader category, dividing it into two groups: Philippine-Type alignment and Indonesian-Type alignment. This debate is ongoing and can be seen in various discussions online. Currently, when this video was being made, Wikipedia states that Indonesian does not follow symmetrical voice, while other sources argue that it does. I've concluded links in the description for further reading, including a favorite source of mine from Professor Iwayan Arka. Due to time constraints, I won't cover the finer details on how these two groups differ within this video session. Please share your feedback and comments if you are interested in comparing Philippine-Type and Indonesian-Type alignment. Here's how it looks on the agent underscore continuum. Now here are comparison charts of the alignments. On the left and right are the asymmetrical alignments. In the middle is the symmetrical voice or Austronesian alignment. Here is the chart comparing asymmetrical alignments with applicativization. And here is the chart comparing symmetrical alignments with applicativization. Finally, here's a comparison table of the three alignments. So, the question of the day: what type of alignment does your language have? Which definition do you follow for Austronesian alignment or symmetrical voice? If you follow a definition that excludes Indonesian from symmetrical voice, what term do you use to describe Indonesian-type alignment? Do you get new insights by watching this video? Please share your comments and feedback, your answers, your opinions about the topics from this video, and what you like to see in future content. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated on new videos. You can also browse my channel for other interesting and related videos. Thank you for watching Efelti channel.